All right, so I made a number of videos on my channel about, well, Acorns investing. And I got to admit, this is one that I can't really peg down. 749 likes, 1 dislike, well, now 2. That was my lame attempt at trying to be funny. But essentially what I'm setting out to do was figure out if Acorns investing is actually worth it to have in the plethora of brokerages that are out there, in the ensemble that you can create with all the financial applications that exist, because it's kind of like cloudy out there in terms of what platforms you should or shouldn't be using. I'm trying to figure out all of that. And Acorns to me, well, there's really only one spot that it kind of makes sense for me personally, and I want to cover that. So first things first, let's compare Acorns to some of the other brokerages out there so you understand what Acorns is, what it's capable of, and why it could potentially be a ripoff. Now, Acorns is kind of unique in the way where you can round up purchases. So say, for example, I've got this soda can here. $1.50 is what this costs. Well, with Acorns, if I link up my credit card, I could spend $2 on this because it's going to round up from $1.50 to $2, and it's going to invest that spare change directly into the stock market. So it's a cool little feature there. Every time I swipe my card, it does something similar because I have that feature turned on. Now, Acorns is set up in a way where you don't really have to think. It takes the guesswork out of investing. It's got 5 pre-built portfolios for you, ranging from conservative to ultra aggressive, though I got to be honest, the ultra aggressive portfolio really isn't all that aggressive in my opinion. Now, the biggest drawback to Acorns investing has to be the fees that it comes with, because the base tier is $3 a month. Now with that, you get access to the features I was just talking about, and that's it. No, I'm just kidding. There's a couple other rewards that it comes with. But honestly, in my case, $3 is 1% of my entire portfolio that's in Acorns. I can't say that's always been true for me. At one point, I had over $10,000 in there. But again, the bronze tier, that base level with the most basic features, is $3 a month. Meanwhile, other brokerages do the same stuff completely for free. At $6 a month, you get a 1% IRA match. Whoop-de-doo. No, that's actually kind of cool. Other brokerages are offering that too, but again, for a much lower fee. And then at $12 a month, hey, you can do what all these other brokerages do. You can self-select and pick the stocks that you want to invest in. That's fantastic. Now, there are other rewards that come along with this. If you're somebody who's spending a bunch of money and you use their earn feature that they have, it could potentially be worth it. But I got to be honest with you, the fees in most scenarios are kind of downright criminal. A 1% fee is going to eat away at my portfolio over time. And I just don't invest enough for that to actually make sense. Maybe you do. Maybe you're investing more money. You can justify the fees. But if all of these features kind of exist in other platforms, it brings me back to the question, why kind of stick around with Acorns? And I'm probably just like you. I feel like there has to be a place for Acorns just based off of how cool that roundup feature is and what it could potentially earn you. And I'm going to be honest with you, over the past year, I'm kind of shocked with the results that I've seen from my Acorns portfolio. So let's do a quick little dive in here and we can see what's going on. Now you can see if I go to my investing tab, the return that I've had on Acorns over the past year. Now it is up 12.73%. This is super cool, but when you factor in that the bronze tier, the lowest tier for Acorns, is $3 a month, all of a sudden this portfolio that would be positive is now in the negative. Now, I will admit I'm not adding any extra money in here. This is all just purely roundups that I've made. So when I swipe my card, it just automatically does that investing. I'm not doing $5 a month here. I'm not adding at different times. Literally just when I hit the $5 threshold for roundups, it's going to automatically charge me and come in here. And so, yeah, it's up $37. Now, for most people, you'd be losing money. But for me, there's a little back-end hack to Acorns that I've been using now for a long time where I actually do think it's worth it. Now, I do think it's worth it for me in this one particular instance. I actually showed this in the last video. It helped a ton of people out. Wanted to shed light on it again. It worked for some people. It didn't work for others. So I'm curious if you go in and try this, if it would work for you. Basically, I'm cheap. I want to get the most value out of my dollars. And obviously I would have lost money on that screen I just showed you before. Now in this, if you hit the top right, the little guy icon in your Acorns app, you go into settings, you can see my subscription level is set to assist. If I click into that, boom, you can see I'm only paying $1 a month for the baseline features. And it allows me to access that investing, the roundups, I think pretty much everything that the bronze $3 a month tier offers, just for $1 a month. Now, how I was able to do this is in here, I went to cancel my subscription before when I was on the $3 a month tier. And when I proceeded to go through the settings with the canceling subscriptions, I clicked continue, and it gave me this offer of going down to Acorns Assist. They know, hey, we would rather give you these features for $1 and make money than you completely churning and leaving the app altogether. So it just kind of makes sense in that front. And so listen, for me, I like to compare all of my investments to see how they're kind of doing. And so this 12.73%, which actually you have to subtract $12 to figure out the real percentage that you're taking home. How does that compare to the other portfolios that I've established? Well, the ones I talk about on this channel, like my Robinhood investing portfolio, over the past year, my individual account is up 21%. So that's completely blowing Acorns out of the water. Then if you look at my Roth IRA, this one's a little bit skewed. It says 9.95%. That's not including the dividends that I'm getting from something like SCHD. So if you look at the majority of the investment, like VTI, this is up 15.54%. Again, still beating Acorns. And if you factor in the dividends from SCHD, I actually do wonder, because this is up 0.12%, what that is. So it might actually be worse than what Acorns is showing. So that's the one stipulation there. But then even if you look at my crypto investments, this is up 33% in the past year. So on all fronts, in terms of the value that I'm getting from the dollars that I'm investing, the worst value is coming from Acorns for me. So now seeing all of that stuff, you might be thinking, well, why does it make sense to still use Acorns then? Well, I think that a lot of people made a good solid point on my last video. It's really, one, it's hands off. I actually do sort of like the feature that it offers with roundups because I don't like thinking too much about my money. It's honestly kind of rewarding because I forget about that account that I have. It's not really top of mind for me. And then when I want to do something fun, I kind of turn to Acorns for that fun money. That could be something that I save without even thinking twice about for vacations, or there's a specific use for it. Yes, I would probably get a higher dollar amount return using just your typical brokerage app or investing in the ways that I've already seen work on my other portfolios. But to me, I just think it's kind of a cool feature and something that I want to include in my portfolio. I enjoy making these videos on it. I enjoy hearing from other people, and there are use cases out there where, it did make more sense from people in the description of my videos. But for me personally, and for what I'm doing, it makes far less sense. And if you are somebody who is considering what apps to use, I would highly recommend doing your research before just jumping on the Acorns bandwagon. Now, I do want to be fair to Acorns and not super biased in this video. I have been spitballing on how I think it could potentially be worth it to continue using an Acorns. And honestly, the number one thing that I come back to is just scalability of it. So, again, Acorns charges $3 a month for the personal plan or $5 a month for the family plan. On a small balance of $100, it's a ridiculous 36% annual fee. But again, if you start scaling it up, it becomes way more worth it, because at $10,000, $3 a month is effectively 0.36% annually. And it's in line or even cheaper than a ton of other robo-advisors out there. Then at $25,000, the fee is effectively negligible. The more that you are going to use it, the longer you stick with it, the less painful the fee is going to become. And I think that's a lot of the comments that I was seeing before. Now, they do have bundled services in there that you also get access to: Acorns Later, Acorns Checking, Found Money. And Found Money is honestly what I think could be potentially the greatest feature that it has, especially if you're spending money at the retailers that they're partnering with. You're going to get free cash back for doing so. Now, as somebody who's extremely frugal, again, I don't spend all that much money frivolously, whatever the word is. I don't spend all that much money in that way. And I've attempted with Acorns I do all my grocery shopping through Walmart. I didn't realize that in the stipulations, Walmart groceries don't effectively go towards Found Money. So I thought I was going to have this huge benefit and be a genius for doing it through Acorns and using Found Money in that way. Yeah, not a genius, didn't work, and not a massive benefit to me. So I don't know. That's kind of my take on the whole Acorn situation. Please leave a comment down below your thoughts. Was I a little bit too harsh? The cost of the alternatives and free brokerages that are out there that I can hand select my investments, it just seems like that makes sense to me. Anyways, guys, thanks for checking out the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment, leave a like. It would really help me out. Hopefully, it's in line with the ratio from the last one. Thanks for checking out the video. Have a great day.